Have you ever wondered why happiness seems fleeting, while suffering stretches endlessly like a river with no shore? Why the tighter we cling, the more we lose, the more we seek, the emptier we feel? There are nights when you lie awake in silence, a quiet unease gnawing at your heart. Even with everything, career, love, family, status, something still feels missing. A hollow space that nothing in this world can fill. The Buddha called that space dukkha, suffering. And the cause behind it is Samudaya, the second noble truth, the truth of the cause of suffering. Samudaya is not just an abstract philosophy. It is a mirror reflecting the human heart. It reveals that every pain, whether great or small, arises from within, from craving, attachment, clinging, and ignorance. Nothing outside us truly causes suffering. It is our own mind's grasping and blindness that binds us to it. Over 2.600 years ago, Prince Siddhartha, the man who would become the Buddha, carried the same question in his heart. Why must humans grow old, fall ill, and die? Why must we suffer? That question led him on a lifelong journey, leaving behind his palace and all worldly pleasures, to discover a truth we now call Samudaya, the root of all suffering and the gateway to liberation. Suffering is not the enemy. It is a great teacher, showing us who we truly are. When we dare to face suffering, we uncover within it the light of wisdom. Take a moment. Listen quietly to your own heart. Is there something within you that still feels unsettled? A memory you can't let go of? A person you can't forget? A dream that never came true? Each of those is a seed of Samudaya, where suffering begins. Like drops of water falling endlessly on a rock, each desire, each unfulfilled wish, each fear of loss carves deeper into our hearts. If we fail to notice this, we will forever be carried away, like a leaf swept down the stream of craving and fear. The Buddha taught, there is no fire like passion, no chain like hatred, and no river like ignorance. Dhammapada, verse 251. This verse encapsulates the essence of Samudaya. Desire burns like fire. Anger binds like chains. Ignorance sweeps us away like a river in flood. Yet even within the fire, there is light. For when we see clearly where the fire begins, we already hold the power to extinguish it. When we understand the cause of suffering, we have already taken half a step toward liberation. Life does not begin with suffering, but it is through suffering that the path to enlightenment unfolds. Only when one faces pain does one awaken, pause, and ask, why do I suffer? And can I live differently? The Buddha gave us the answer more than 2 millennia ago, in the deer park of Isapatana, when he first spoke of the Four Noble Truths. Today, let us return there, to understand deeply the second truth, Samudaya, the true origin of all suffering, and from that understanding, begin our journey toward peace within. In the Four Noble Truths, Samudaya is the truth of the origin of suffering. If the first truth, dukkha, reveals the reality of suffering, then Samudaya illuminates the cause behind that reality. The Buddha said, with the cause, suffering arises. With the removal of that cause, suffering ceases. Samyutta Nikāya. This means that suffering is not random, nor fate. Every form of pain has a definite cause, and because it has a cause, it can be ended. So, what is that cause? The Buddha declared, it is craving, tanha, the thirst for existence, for pleasure, for becoming. Craving is the fire burning within every heart, whispering that what we have is never enough, always craving more wealth, more fame, more love, more recognition. The three roots of suffering, greed, hatred, and delusion. When the Buddha spoke of craving, he was not only referring to physical or sensual desire, but to every form of mental attachment. He pointed out 3 poisons, the roots of all suffering. Keycap 1 Greed, lobha, the endless desire to possess. Keycap 2 Hatred, dosa, the aversion or anger that arises when desire is frustrated. Keycap 3 Delusion, moha, the blindness that prevents us from seeing the impermanent and selfless nature of all things. These 3 are like fires burning in the mind, consuming peace and clarity. They drive the endless cycle of birth and death, the wheel of samsara, where beings suffer again and again. The Buddha compared them to the roots of a poisonous tree. Cutting its leaves or branches won't stop its growth, only uprooting it completely will. Likewise, only when we see clearly and uproot greed, hatred, and delusion within ourselves can suffering truly end. Craving, the fire without end. A person consumed by craving is like someone thirsty in the desert, seeing mirages of water, yet the more they chase, the farther they stray. Desire whispers, "When I get this, I will be happy." But once it is obtained, emptiness returns, and the search begins again. The Buddha called this rebirth in every moment. It is not merely rebirth after death, but the continuous rebirth of suffering in each craving thought. Every time we grasp, we are born again. Every time we reject, we die a little inside. Those trapped in desire are like silkworms spinning their own cocoon. Ensnared by the very threads they create attachment, the invisible chain. Attachment, upadana, means clinging and holding on. It's not limited to physical possessions, but also includes attachment to the body, to emotions, opinions, status, religion, even to pain and memories. We often think, I refers to this body, these feelings, these thoughts. But the Buddha taught that this I is merely a collection of 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Because we fail to see this truth, we cling to what is impermanent, and suffering arises. Those who cling to the body fear aging, illness, and death. Those who cling to emotions fear loss, rejection, and change. Every fear, in truth, is a thread woven from attachment, and together they form the net of Samudaya, ignorance, the darkness within. Ignorance, avidya, is not lack of intelligence. It is the blindness to truth. We live in the light of knowledge, yet in the darkness of awareness. We know much about the world, but little about ourselves. Because of ignorance, we believe there is a self and mine. Because of ignorance, we chase happiness outside ourselves. Because of ignorance, we mistake the dream of life for reality. And when ignorance joins hands with craving, it fuels the endless stream of rebirth and sorrow. Only when the light of right understanding arises can we truly see. And in seeing, we are freed. The story of the second arrow. One day, a man asked the Buddha, "Blessed One, why do some people suffer greatly, while others suffer less?" The Buddha replied, "When an ordinary person is struck by an arrow, he laments, blames, and then shoots himself with a second arrow, that of anger and resentment. The wise person feels the first arrow, but not the second, because he understands the cause of pain and does not feed it." Samyutta Nikāya, S.36.6. This story perfectly illustrates Samudaya in everyday life. The first arrow is inevitable pain, loss, illness, separation. The second arrow is our reaction, clinging to me, mine, or it shouldn't be this way. It is the second arrow that prolongs suffering, not the first in the Dhammapada. The Buddha taught, from affection comes grief. From affection comes fear. He who is free from affection has no grief and no fear. Dhammapada, verse 216. And also, there is no fire like lust, no bond like hatred, no net like delusion. Dhammapada, verse 251. These are not mere moral sayings, they are psychological truths. Affection, or craving, tanha, is an energy that pulls us into the endless wheel of sorrow. In life, craving takes many forms. Not only romantic love, but attachment to fame, wealth, power, even self-image. When we don't have something, we suffer from lack. When we have it, we suffer from fear of losing it. And when we lose it, we suffer from regret. Samudaya is the chain that links all three. Modern psychology also speaks of attachment pain. Carl Jung once wrote, "It is not the event itself that causes pain, but our reaction to it." This is exactly the essence of Samudaya. Each time we hold a thought as absolute, we feed our suffering. Each time we identify ourselves with emotion, we bind ourselves tighter. A person betrayed, a person who fails, a person who loses love. They all share one root cause: the inability to release the self and its expectations. That is the origin of suffering, a truth the Buddha realized millennia ago in the Samyutta Nikāya. The story of Pattakara is told. A woman who once had everything, husband, children, and joy. Yet in one single day, she lost them all, husband drowned, children swept away, parents dead. She lost her mind, wandered naked through the streets, crying in madness. When she met the Buddha, he said gently, "Pattakara, the tears you have shed in countless lives are more than the waters of the 4 great oceans." Those words awakened her. She realized her pain was not just of this life, but the endless stream of suffering born from craving and ignorance. She became a nun, practiced the Dhamma, and attained liberation. Freed from the roots of suffering, the eternal truth: no suffering is meaningless. The second noble truth does not teach us to escape suffering, but to see it clearly and understand its cause. When we understand suffering, resentment fades, for we see that within pain lies the seed of wisdom. Just as the lotus blooms from mud, wisdom arises from suffering. Those who have never suffered cannot truly understand compassion. The Buddha never promised that the enlightened will not suffer. He only taught, those who understand suffering are no longer ruled by it. Looking deeply into suffering, the beginning of wisdom. No enlightenment is born in comfort. Wisdom does not arise from pleasure, but from the honest confrontation with suffering. When one dares to face their pain, without running away, blaming, or hating, that very moment marks the first step beyond Samudaya. The Buddha said, "As a physician, I show you the cause of illness and the way to its cure. Whether you take the medicine or not, that is up to you." Suffering is like a disease. If we only cry, "I am in pain," but never examine its cause, we remain sick forever. But once we understand why suffering arises, the mind begins to settle. And that calmness is the seed of wisdom. Practicing mindfulness, seeing suffering as it arises. Samudaya is not far away. It arises in every thought, reaction, and craving. Mindfulness is the lamp that reveals it. When someone praises us, joy arises, that is craving. When someone criticizes us, anger arises, that is aversion. When we don't understand why we feel this way, that is delusion. If we can observe these movements of the mind in real time, then Samudaya is being exposed. The light of awareness prevents the roots of suffering from growing deeper. The Buddha once said, "The mind is like a river. If you watch its flow, you will no longer be swept away." Letting go of expectations, the door to peace. Most of our suffering does not come from life being unfair, but from expecting it to be fair. We want others to love us our way. We want everything to go according to plan. We want time to stop when we're happy. But life is impermanent. The more we resist this truth, the more we suffer. Letting go of expectations does not mean giving up. It means accepting deeply. Acceptance is not surrender. It is seeing clearly that this is how it is. The one who lets go of expectations has a mind like a still lake. The wind may blow, but the water remains clear. Contemplating impermanence, the antidote to craving. Impermanence is the key that unlocks freedom from craving. When we observe carefully, we see no feeling lasts forever. No person stays forever. No situation remains unchanged. Seeing this, the mind stops grasping. It's like someone who knows that flowers will fade. They still love them, but they do not suffer when petals fall. Mindfulness of impermanence does not make us pessimistic. On the contrary, it teaches us to cherish each moment, knowing that every beauty is fragile, living in the world without being swept by it. Those who understand Samudaya do not escape life. They still work, love, and give, but their happiness no longer depends on outcomes. They know that peace is not found in achieving, but in being aware while doing. A person may walk through the marketplace, yet within, their heart is like a monk in meditation, hearing the noise, yet remaining still as an autumn lake. The Buddha said, "In the world, be like the lotus, touching the mud, yet unstained by it." That is the wisdom of one who truly understands Samudaya. True happiness, when we no longer fear suffering. Many believe happiness means the absence of pain, but the Buddha taught, True happiness is understanding suffering and no longer fearing it. When we see suffering as part of life, we stop running each time it comes. We meet it with mindfulness. And suffering melts away like morning mist and sunlight. Happiness is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of peace amidst them. This is the wisdom of one who understands Samudaya. Not fighting suffering, not fleeing from it, but transforming it into the blossom of enlightenment. There is one thing the Buddha emphasized throughout his 45 years of teaching. I teach only suffering, and the end of suffering. It sounds simple, yet it holds the key to enlightenment itself. For only when we understand the cause of suffering can we truly end it. No one can end your suffering but you. The Buddha merely shows the path. He said, I opened the door, but you must walk through it yourself. When we begin to look into our pain with awareness, we see that it is not our enemy. Suffering is a truthful friend, pointing to what within us still needs healing. And in that very moment of understanding, suffering turns into light, illuminating the way to peace. Suffering loses its power when understood. A person once haunted by darkness trembles each time night falls. But if they light a lamp, they realize darkness was never powerful, it was only the absence of light. So it is with suffering. When we understand Samudaya, we see that suffering is not punishment. It is a call to awaken. Suffering is the bell that rings us out of illusion, the rain that washes the dust from the leaf of the heart. Without it, we would sleep endlessly in delusion. So when pain comes, instead of asking, why me? Ask, what is this suffering trying to teach me? When that question arises in mindfulness, the cloud of suffering begins to dissolve. Under the sunlight of wisdom, from the origin of suffering to inner freedom. Those who understand Samudaya no longer run from suffering, nor do they try to destroy it. They learn to smile at it. For they know, without Samudaya, there can be no wisdom. Without the night, how could we see the stars? Without suffering, how could we recognize nirvana? When the mind truly understands this, a great freedom arises. Freedom from fear, from grasping, from expectation. This is the turning point. From Samudaya to Nirodha. From the cause of suffering to its cessation. Like a flower blooming from ashes, the human heart can awaken to light. Right in the very pain it once fled from. Practice in everyday life. Practicing Samudaya is not only for monks in the mountains. It is the practice of every human being living in the world. When you feel sad because someone doesn't understand you, remember, the pain comes from wanting to be understood. Let go a little. You will feel lighter. When you're angry at someone, remember, anger comes from wanting them to be different. But if you accept them as they are, anger dissolves, and so does suffering. And when you're weary from competition, sit down, breathe deeply, and remind yourself, there is nothing to compete with but myself. This is Samudaya transformed by awareness. Right in the midst of life. Without leaving the world behind. Final message, the light within. Every human being carries within them the seed of awakening. Just as darkness holds the potential for light, so suffering holds the seed of peace. The Buddha does not grant us happiness. He simply points out that happiness is already within you. You only need to look deeply and see. Samudaya teaches us to look inward. For every cause of suffering arises from the mind. And that very mind, once understood, becomes the source of boundless peace. Remember this. Each time you see clearly the cause of your pain, you take one step closer to enlightenment. May you, the one who is listening, learn to look deeply into your own suffering, with the eyes of understanding and the heart of compassion. For the very moment you understand Samudaya, the cause of suffering, you have already entered the light of Nirodha, the cessation of suffering. And you are walking upon the path of liberation, the noble Eightfold Path. Though life may still bring challenges, remember, within every tear shines the light of awareness. And within every pain lies the seed of awakening. May you live peacefully amidst the changing world. See the Buddha within yourself. And let every step you take be a step in serenity. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.